Hello, welcome to the Meeting Your Soul podcast. It's Farah, your host. And as always, thank you for being here. Thanks for listening in. Thanks for tuning in. And thanks for being a part of this community. I am stoked to be able to chat about today's topic. Sorry, I feel like my head's getting caught off. I am stoked to talk about today's topic, but first, life update, as I've been wanting to do with you guys, just to give you a little idea of what's going on in my life, and to be able to also humanize the experience of the spiritual journey. And I think that often we look at spirituality as this thing that's going to be instant, that we achieve it, that it's set in stone, and then we move on, and then we don't ever have to worry about it again. But life is inevitably always going to be throwing us opportunities for growth. And the real, I believe, spiritual journey of life is to be able to continue to show up for those moments, to be able to be really present to those, and to be able to continue on as we evolve continuously. And so many different times within our lives, there's different areas that take a focal point of that growth that require more of our attention and our love as others do. And then other times, there's moments where we're really having to push up against our edge and to be able to explore more of who we are. And that all of those are important moments, and that as I'll talk about the pie of life later, we'll talk about kind of what those major areas are and how to create goals around them. And I would say a focal point for me right now is partnership and finances. Seems a little opposite, doesn't it? But I believe that those are two areas in my life where I'm really the most focused and I am trying to grow the most. And I think those, as someone who was in partnership for a really long time, I was with my significant other that we split a few years back for 12 years. So most of my 20s were spent very much secure within that area, that I had a partner that was very much a stable force within my life. And so that was never something that I was really concerned about. And so a lot of time that was honestly my spiritual journey was a big part of that, kind of checking in balances within myself, learning how to self-love, learning, physical health, also just, kind of evolving in my career and in that path and learning a lot of skills. So I feel like it was really an information gathering period time for me, while I had the security and comfort of a partner as well as a pretty stable home front. And that created an opportunity for us to be able to create wealth together and a lot of different things. But I would say that there's been a shift within that. So then I lost those two things, that stable partner. And then also, I was, for the first time, really on my own financially, which was a struggle too, and just learning how to navigate that and to be able to manage everything, because he kind of took the lead in that area while we were together. So now I'm having to butt up against really evaluating what's most important to me, how to create stability within those realms, and also to be able to show up where I might have, where these might be certain areas where I need, like personally, that might be more of a struggle for me. And I think that I've been very fortunate in order to create a very solid foundation. I know what it looks like. I know what I need to achieve. But I think also finding some harmony within that and a balanced approach that feels authentic to me has been a learning curve. And so that's actually why I decided to choose today's topic of life, of the pie of life, to be able to help others kind of reevaluate what's going on in their life. And if there's areas where you're feeling dissatisfied, how can you kind of mold and shift that pie? And also, how do you create goals around improving those areas? And I think that's the key part, because so often in life we just want to say, well, I'm just not good at that. Or, that's just not my cup of tea, so I'm just not going to even attempt it. Or, it's really not that big of a deal. This is just how I am. And I think it's really easy to give up personally. It's really easy to just say, oh, that's just not what I'm good at, or that's not what I do. And I think creating a more holistic approach to mental health in general, all of these parts of this pie really do contribute to your overall mental health. Feeling secure within your relationships is a big part of your mental health. Feeling comforted and secure within your finances is a part of your mental health. Being able to have adventure and have fun is a part of your mental health. Like family, connections, relationships, friendships are all a part of your mental health. And the last few years, I think, and it's shifted on what I've been needing to focus on over the years, right? And so this is one area that I'm focused on, but there's been points in time where I needed to really focus on family. I would say, like, right after the split, focusing on all my friendships and all my relationships was really important to me because I lost so many of those within being in a partnership within my spouse. And being a new mom, being a new mom is a fucking whirlwind. And for anyone that's ever had children, and especially like just that first one, you really have to like reevaluate how you show up as an individual, how you want to be represented within the world, and also how you juggle, being a mom, being, a partner, as well as a career. And then it's like everything else kind of falls off. At least it did for me. So I believe that there's always this kind of balancing act, this juggling that occurs within our life. Because it's, I think it's inevitable that some balls will fall. But I really do believe the importance is how we pick them back up and throw them back into the mix, and how we learn from the moments where things fall down. It's not to say that you're bad at this, it just means it's an area of growth. And that's how I always try to position this within my own mind and heart so that I don't get down on myself. I also really hold myself to a really high expectation. I kind of expect to be, I try to be like perfect in a lot of areas of my life. And I gave up that a few years back, but I know there's still remnants of it that stick with me to this day because I think that if I make a mistake, that everything's going to go out the window. And if I make a mistake, nothing's ever going to work out and that I'm a failure. To be honest, I'm really hard on myself. Anyone that knows me closely knows that I'm really, really critical of myself. Always have been. I, I think it's, I there's probably some deep-seated trauma there, which we can go more into. But I would say that there's always been this expectation within my mind, and honestly, within my family and within my parents, who are both very goal-oriented, very perfectionistic people. That if you don't do it right, you're doing it wrong, and you need to correct it. You need to make it right. And I think for me, who's such a sensitive soul, I've struggled with taking those moments of feedback and not just getting depressed and thinking that I suck and that I'm awful. And so this, learning these things over time and becoming to be better about being in the moments of growth and knowing that it's not that I'm not always going to be perfect, that I am going to make mistakes, and that instead of tearing myself apart because of them, I can also use them as an opportunity to move forward and to be able to, keep growing, to keep being that better version of who I'm meant to be, and know that it's all just feedback, it's all just input, and that we keep going. So, starting off with that life update, which ties into the topic at hand. But I would say those are two areas I'm working on the most right now, to be able to really reevaluate how I create my income, and also how I'm showing up within the world, and how can I do that from a more heart-centered space. And then within relationships, same attempt, really, same goal is to be really heart-centered, to be really love and kind, and to hopefully show up for people in a more authentic and compassionate way. And I think I'm so compassionate in so many areas of my life, but sometimes when it comes to relationships, that's where I lack, because I think I've been in some really harsh environments within relationships, and that I almost expect that that's how everyone else responds well to growth, and that's just not. And so I'm working on that too. So it's, yeah, we're out here, we're doing our best, we're doing what we can. And I just want to remind you not to be too hard on yourself, either, to be able to know that you don't always have to get it right, that you don't always have to be perfect, and that ultimately what matters most is that you keep pursuing what you believe in and what's important to you, and to be able to show up for others in a way that you know within your heart and within your mind that it's meant to be. And I think that's all we can really do is take the input we have in each moment and take that and to grow from it. So, update over, and now we'll move into today's topic, which I'm super jazzed about. And if you haven't heard of the pie of life, I'm gonna pop up a quick picture of it. So the pie of life actually was created in the 1960s by a gentleman, Paul J. Meyer, who really wanted to help others realize their goals and transform their mindsets in order to achieve them. And I think that's ultimately what the pie of life represents. And the pie of life, I took a picture of this so that I could show you, is just like this. Oh, you can kind of see it, but it looks like, a pie. Like I always think of, why am I spacing? It looks like a fraction of a pie. So you break up the pie into separate areas, or the circle. You separate them into financial, family, career, personal growth, physical, spiritual, and social. And kind of recognizing that all of those are a balancing act. So there's bound to be ones that you feel more satisfied with in certain times and less satisfied with at other times. And that's what I was alluding to earlier, is kind of these areas in my life where I've maybe been really strong in one area and then have lacked in others. And I think that they're always kind of shifting and changing, but ultimately the goal is to find a harmonious blend of all of them that really serves you and how you want to live your life and what's important to you. And the way that I personally coach people on how to approach this and how I think it's important to approach this is to simply create a big circle. So you'll create a big circle and then you'll split them up evenly within these areas. So I'll repeat them again. So if you're creating your circle, create a big O and then split them up evenly, because all of these are equally important. And I think that that's really the emphasis within this practice and within this exercise, is to evaluate and know that I think our society places a lot of emphasis on finance, on career, on generating money and income. Honestly, I think that that's always this direction where everyone's telling you that you need to put all of your eggs in that basket. But in reality, there's so many other areas of our life that actually generate pure happiness and contentment with our life. A santosha is one of the niyamas and yamas of yoga, and santosha is contentment, finding the enoughness in every area of your life. And it's easy to feel dissatisfied or to feel like you'll always feel dissatisfied within a certain area of your life. And I truly believe that that doesn't have to be the case. And so that's what this exercise is designed around, is an opportunity to be able to evaluate all of these areas and then to be able to work from there. So as you're creating your circle, first things first, circle financial, family, career, personal growth, physical, spiritual, and social. And so as you kind of split this pie up, you'll then start to really consider, what are these areas in my life? How satisfied do I feel within each of those sections? Do I feel really content with my career and maybe finances and family, but then feel like personal growth and physical health are lacking? Or do you feel like you're really connected spiritually and you feel like you're really connected with your friends and your own personal growth and maybe even physically, but then maybe career and finances are on the lower end of that spectrum? It's not there's no right or wrong answer. I want to start with that. This is what's accurate for you. This is what's true for you. And only you know the answers to this. And being really honest with yourself as you break this down is only going to do you a service, because from there, it's not like you then evaluate yourself and then beat yourself up about it. That's the opposite of what we're trying to do. We're breaking down these areas so that we can kind of see, like, okay, what are some areas that I've been avoiding? What are some areas where I've been kind of pushing this off to the side? What are some areas that maybe they've fallen down to the wayside because I've been so focused and so dedicated in other areas? And congratulations for being dedicated in certain areas, and working on yourself, and even being somewhat conscious of this as a whole, I feel like is immensely like important to recognize. But how can we create a more harmonious front and moving forward? So as you break these down, then I want you to rate each area 1 through 10. So 1 being least satisfied, 10 being extremely satisfied. Or what some exercises I've done is like you fill them up, like of the little section up as high. So if like it's really low, that means that you're not very satisfied, and you fill it all the way up, then you can see that you're really satisfied. And sometimes visually that can be really that can illustrate where you're at and then kind of put that in more of a picture format than necessarily just thinking about it in a more analytical 1 through 10 kind of approach. But whatever serves you, whatever feels most authentic, whatever is most effective for you to be able to analyze this. And then I personally like to really take a look at the areas. So to say like, okay, social's really low, but then personal growth is really high. That's been very much a point in my time. I remember relationships were really low for me for a while, but then I was really working on my goals and around my own personal growth or my physical health because all of those things before that, I was so focused on relationships, I was so focused on career and family that my physical and spiritual growth had cooled. As you then kind of really evaluate, okay, how am I doing these areas? Take a look at it. Just really reflect on kind of where you see yourself at, and then two areas that you really want to build from. Two areas that you feel like are the lowest, that you're like, okay, I really need to take some very specific action towards improving these particular arenas. And again, honesty is key here, being really true to yourself, being able to recognize where what you need to grow within, and then evaluating, okay, how can I grow in these areas and how do I want to grow in these areas? And that's like the fun part about it. So well, that's what I think is the fun part about it, is because then you can really kind of like open yourself up to opportunity, open yourself up to possibility, recognize that it doesn't have to be the way that it maybe has been done in the past. And usually it shows like if, it's not working, then there's a need for change. And change can feel really scary, change can feel really overwhelming, but change is actually what's required in order to be able to be that fullest expression of yourself, right? Like the only constant is change. So if we're looking to see how we can grow, then we're looking for the possibility to bloom even further than we already have. So taking a look, seeing, okay, what are the areas of growth? What are probably the two, one, focus on the areas where you're doing, when you're making some work, when you are doing really well. Girl, boy, get it. Get it, get it, get it. Celebrate that. Remind yourself that you're amazing. Remind yourself like that probably wasn't easy. That probably wasn't overnight. That probably did take a lot of growth and a lot of change and a lot of self-evaluation and self-reflection. And you've been able to excel in those arenas that probably other people then are also struggling within their own lives on. So like take that moment to celebrate what you've already achieved, because it's so easy to always focus on what you're not doing that we kind of lose track of what we are doing. So focus on that, be able to just kind of like take a moment to settle into that, be grateful that you've made the progress that you have in those areas, and then be able to then go, okay, these are some areas where I'm not doing so hot right now, but that's all good. Like I am not doing so hot, but that doesn't mean that that can't change, and that can't change truly overnight if you want it to. So when you think about what's an area of change, like shifting, then okay, what are the two areas that I need to grow most in? And what are some very specific goals that I can create around that? And I always think of SMART goals, and people forget about SMART goals because they often think that it's not something that's talked about a ton, but SMART goals are actually kind of developed by Harvard Business Review as an opportunity to be able to really legitimize what you're working on and really clarify ideas so that they're attainable. And that's actually one of the elements of SMART goals. So SMART goals are specific, S, M for measurable, A for achievable, R or attainable, R for relevant, and T for time bound. They allow you to write goals that are clear, attainable, and meaningful. So when you're doing your goal setting, we really truly want the goals to be something that you can achieve, that you can feel good about, that you can then check off your list and be like, I am a badass, because you are a badass and I believe in you and you can do this. You can do this. You can do it. You can do it. You can do it. But it takes time, it takes effort, and it takes focus. And that's the one that I'm always like reevaluating, because I'm like, I can do a lot of things, but I gotta be focused on what I'm doing. Otherwise, I just do a whole lot of nothing, or I'm doing something, but I'm doing a whole lot of different things. So, zeroing in on that. So, if you think about career goals, if you want to achieve something within your career, then kind of think of even just one thing that you really want to work towards. So that could be, okay, I really want to focus on building my business in some way. So then maybe think of, okay, specifics. What is that specific goal within your business? Maybe you want to build your social media presence. So you're like, okay, or marketing. You really want to focus on marketing. Marketing's like one of my favorite things in life, but it wasn't something that always was natural to me. I've spent very dedicated time learning about it, understanding about like how to be better at it, and like working to be able to like be someone that can actually show up in that way in a really authentic format, and to be able to help others, also do that. So that's just been a huge focus of mine within the last recent years because of my business and the requirement of social media and within marketing myself in order to get more clientele. So marketing yourself is huge. So if you're like, okay, I want to build this, so how do I do that? Let's be specific. Do you want to gain followers? Do you want to increase engagement? Followers don't always necessarily equate to business. So know that too, unless you're trying to be an influencer. But connecting with your clients is actually, or potential clients, or even with, students that you want to work with or whatever it might be. That's usually more of the focus. So then, okay, I want to connect with more students. I want to convert. I want to be able to create more business from this. Okay, well, how am I going to do that? I want to be more engaging. Okay, well, what's a measurable way to be more engaging? Do you want to have like more polls? Do you want to be able to create more DMs, and then correct and like creating, facilitating new relationships with people you've never met? Like, what is that? What's that measurable aspect of it? And make sure it's achievable. Like, okay, I want to talk to 10 new people on Instagram each week. That's, I think, very achievable. What does that mean for you? How do you do that? And relevant. Okay, how does this actually work towards my goal? Okay, I want to be more present on social media, and then I want to be able to connect more and convert more from that. Okay, well, then that's relevant that you're connecting and engaging with more people on a weekly basis. And then time bound. So that's it. So have that either time bound and then, or maybe say, I want to connect with 10 people with, and I usually always say create goals that are about 3 months long, because that's going to be something that's going to stick and it's actually going to be more sustainable. And you're also going to see the results from it. If you're like, I'm going to do this for a week, well, it might not come up in a week. You might not really ultimately see the results within a week. So I usually say 90-day goals are usually the most effective, because that's enough time to put in practice, to be able to see your results, and then to be able to generate something from it. So that's one way to create a SMART goal. But think about this for yourself. So whatever those two areas that you feel like are lacking the most within your pie of life chart, create SMART goals around those. So then as you create your SMART goals, you kind of analyze what that means for you. You write them down. Writing down your goals is so important. To be able to write them down, to be able to see them, to reflect on them each day, to make conscious effort and action towards them is critical. So write out what those goals are, put them, like write them out, put them in your bathroom, on your mirror, in your bedroom, wherever you're going to look at them consistently. That's all that really matters. And then really take time, each week throughout those 3 months to be able to evaluate what direction you're headed in, that you're moving towards them, and that you are getting closer towards what you destined to do. It doesn't necessarily mean that everything's going to be perfect. There's not going to be tough days. Trust me, there's going to be some tough days throughout that. There'll be moments where you want to just give up. There'll be probably moments where you're not really trying as hard as you were at other times. That's okay. Just keep going. Continue. Be able to continue to push yourself. Believe that it's possible. Know that you're worth it. Know that you're capable of it, and that everything's going to work out exactly as it should. As long as you trust yourself and move forward from that place of trust and belief within the universe to provide, within God to provide, within yourself, to be able to know that whatever goals you've set are truly what you are intended to do, and to kind of take action from that space, to believe that it's already yours, right? The key in manifestation is believing that it's already occurred. So tapping into that, seeing where it takes you. Thanks for listening. I hope this was helpful. If you want to do this in a much more organized and intentional way with a coach involved, that's what I'm here to do. I really am really dedicated to helping others find a harmonious sense of purpose and joy within their life. And I believe that both are key in order to feel fulfilled. So if you are interested in working with me on an ongoing basis, or even just want to check in on my Shine Bright program, which gives more online workshops, and then I do still do 3 coaching sessions with you. It's only $222. And so it's pretty affordable, and it offers you an opportunity to be able to get that one-on-one coaching with me and to see if you would like to do a 3-month program, or if you would prefer to just stick and kind of do it more on your own, in a more autonomous way. And that's a-okay with me too, but it's nice to be able to get some feedback, some guidance, and help work out some of those kinks that we sometimes run up against that can leave us feeling a little stuck. Well, this can be an opportunity to break down some of those barriers and to be able to shift in more of a abundant mindset in all facets of the way. So not just with finances, but also with an abundant mindset of time, of energy, of love, all of it in between. So thanks for listening. I will hopefully see you very soon, and tune in next week for another episode on meeting your soul and the methods and the techniques that I have learned along the way to be able to help support you on your own personal journey from a holistic and a more manageable way that feels good from the inside out.